Welcome, everybody. It's Thursday, February 1st. John Aravosis here, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. to talk about the latest news from Ukraine. This is the Aravosis Report, my nightly show Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern. Welcome all. Let me get my chat pulled up here. And then, here we go, chat. There you guys are. Hello, YouTubers. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Waiting for it to pull it up. Come on, let me know you're live. It always worries me with this. I know you're here. All right. Well, it's not showing me. There you are. All right. It was holding your chat back on me for a second there. I was getting worried. Hey, guys. Let me get TikTok rolling here on my iPad, and then we are ready to go. Go live. There we go. And then we can jump right in. Maybe this time I think I'm just going to try to jump in rather than wait a minute or two, because I worry sometimes the people that are actually here leave, or, anybody's checking it out on YouTube later. So anyway, welcome, folks. Welcome, TikTokers. Well, maybe we'll wait 30 seconds. 30 seconds, and we're starting the show for real. We'll give TikTokers a chance to arrive. So, and then literally count down 30, folks. Anyway, welcome, everybody. Waterford, Ireland. We have many Waterford crystal pieces at home at Mom's. Originals, not made in the Czech Republic, thank you. Or wherever they make them now. Anyway, welcome, guys. Ooh. Anyway, hey guys, lots of news. As always, lots of news today. Seems to be a lot of news lately. It's funny. Some days there's like no news on any of this stuff. A little bit of Middle Eastern news we'll talk about, and then lots of Ukraine news. So good news. Actually, pretty good news across the board today, I would say, in Ukraine. So excellent. Hey guys on TikTok. All right, I'm just going to get rolling here. Thank you, Red, for the gifts. So the way the show works is I go through the news that I find that I think is relevant. I've got a background in journalism, foreign policy, politics here in Washington, D.C. for like 35 years or so, because I'm that old. Thank you, Ally. Ally works too, I guess. So I will go through the stories that I think are relevant with regards to Ukraine. One quick Middle Eastern story we'll start with first. Thank you, Tom. And then we'll jump from there. Thank you, Marie and Christine. So many gifts today. Guys, please do keep the gifts coming. As I always say, I do this full time. I've been reporting on the war in Ukraine since the war broke out, all the way back in 2022. It's been about 2 years now, and the way I'm able to afford doing this, thank you, Tom, is with your guys' gifts. Your guys' gifts help me pay the bills and allows me to keep doing this. So please keep them coming. Appreciate that. Thank you, Succeed. Remember, Saturday morning, we've got our coffee talk. Thank you, Critter. Every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S., I host a subscriber-only chat on TikTok and Discord. On TikTok, it's for the monthly TikTok subscribers. That's the live subscription, I think they call it on TikTok. You can find it in my profile. Just look for, I think literally it says live subscription on TikTok. Let me open this. Pretty sure that's what it says. Thank you, Amanda and Joe. Let me pull this up just to see. Where's my profile? Yeah, live subscription. So if you look at my profile, you see on the left side there, right beneath the link, the URL, it says live subscription. You click that, and it brings up information for how you can be a monthly subscriber. So you guys are welcome Saturday morning. The rest of you, TikTok, Discord, Ko-fi, Twitch, all of you monthly subscribers can join me via Discord. That's already set up automatically every week on Discord, so you'll see it there Saturday morning. Okay, let's jump in here. So before the Ukraine news, we got a quick Middle East story, kind of interesting actually. Thank you, Critter. Appreciate the gifts, guys. And Trevor for the heart, and oh my God, and McFadge with a disco UFO. I'm gonna call it a disco UFO. Thank you, guys. Just looking back, make sure I didn't miss folks. So a quick little story from the Middle East. Very interesting. President Biden has issued an executive order targeting the violent far-right extremist settlers in Israel. Thank you, Becky and Martin. Thank you, Ellie and Richard. So these folks are, thank you, Crazy American. These are folks that basically Israel's got these far-right extremist settlers who go into Palestinian territory and basically try to set up camp. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Jason. And unfortunately, they have sort of well, if it's not, it may not even be tacit approval. They may have the open approval of people like the Netanyahu government, very conservative government. And these guys not just go in and steal Palestinian territory, they're violent about it. And they're there to basically violently eject Palestinians from land that's theirs. This is a point. Thank you, Christine. This is one of those points where the Palestinians are absolutely right about. And Biden stepped in, issued an executive order today targeting the extremist settlers. The new directive, let me read you this. New directive, this is from CNN, but Politico wrote about it too. The new directive, first reported by Politico and expected to be announced Thursday, will impose sanctions on several individuals accused of having participated in the violent acts. The order targets 4 individuals accused of directly perpetrating violence or intimidation in the West Bank, including people accused of initiating and leading a riot, setting buildings, fields, and vehicles on fire, assaulting civilians, and damaging property. Thank you, John and Ellie. I may have missed somebody else here. Ernie, Allie, Christine. I feel like romper room when I'm doing this. It's funny. What's interesting about this is I was trying to read more about it. I haven't been able to find a good analysis of it yet, but some of the stories I was reading on this, thank you, Charles, it looks like, among other things, they're banking sanctions. Now, they're banned from coming to the U.S., which is one thing. Thank you, Marcy. But I believe they may be international banking sanctions as well, which is very interesting. At least, and again, literally this just came out, these look to be pretty significant sanctions, actually. Now, what is also good is this is sending a message to all the other settlers as well, right? Thank you, Grumpy. This is sending a message to the other settlers as well. Thank you, Charles and Marcy. So, not bad. I mean, not a bad move for Biden to do. And I mean, it's, in politics, we would call this low-hanging fruit in the sense of it's an obvious thing he should be doing. These are bad people. So, all right, let's move on to Ukraine. It is day 707 of Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. Callum was telling me, thank you, Becky, that there were 22 ballistic missiles coming into Ukraine in the last hour, which is bad. These are the missiles, thank you, Arifa and Becky. These are the missiles that often tend to get through and cause a lot of damage. I know in the last day, thank you, Becky and Swan, in the last day or so, the Russians, for example, bombed a Ukrainian hospital. It was a hospital they were using. People were injured. They had to move people out. So, the carnage continues from Russia. Putting that aside, I tend not to cover a lot of the Russia bombing news because we know they're doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see much benefit other than it's depressing to talk about, today the Russians killed another 5 Ukrainians. I don't think it's news, and I think it's depressing. So that's why I don't necessarily cover every day the little details. I think it's more interesting to look at some of the big picture stuff that gives us a sense of where things are going. One of those big picture things that's a great story. Today, the European Union agreed to provide Ukraine with $54 billion or around 50 billion euros in money over the next 4 years or so as financial aid. So a lot of it's loans, cheap loans. This is... It's basically money Ukraine needs to finance its economy, to pay for salaries. Think about it. You've got a country like Ukraine that it's not small, but it's not big. It's about 43 million people. I don't even know how many now. 500,000, 1 million are in the military, right? That's a big chunk. Another several million, thank you, Courtney, another several million have had to flee the country as refugees to Poland and to the nearby countries, to Germany. You've also, so that disrupts the economy, right? You're basically drafted. Thank you, Christine in Life. You're drafted. You're no longer working at your job. That hurts local businesses. B, you fled the country because you're being bombed. Your family's being bombed, right? You're not working internally. That hurts. That not only hurts local businesses, it also hurts the tax base. Right? You're not making the money anymore for the government to tax you. That hurts the economy. The Russians are bombing the hell out of everything. That obviously hurts the economy right there, right? You're bombing businesses. The businesses don't function. Therefore, they need money to keep the government going. They need money to pay salaries. This is money that will help to keep the Ukrainian government going for the next 4 years. Hugely important. Thank you, Christine. Several gifts there I see. And Bart. Big deal. Now, this is fascinating because how did the European Union do this when Hungary was saying no, no, no? Remember, the European Union is around 27 countries, we said, or so. I think it's 27, we said. Thank you, Becky. And Bart. Sorry, I thought I said Barry. Bart. I always like that name. My dog, had I gotten a male dog, the name would have been Bart because I wanted to be able to say Bart. the Hungarians kept saying no to aid to Ukraine. Thank you, Napoleon. Kept saying no to aid to Ukraine. And for the European Union to act on something, it's got to be unanimous. And the Hungarians said no. Now, it's a lot of different reasons, including on a very simple level. The Hungarian Prime Minister Orban is pro-Putin and anti-Ukraine. He's another one of those Moscow cronies, basically. He's a bit of a far-right extremist. Thank you, adventurers. A bit of a wannabe dictator. I also think at the same time, I think he's a wannabe Soviet dictator type as well. I think he would have been very happy during the Soviet years running Hungary as a communist dictatorship. I don't think it's he pretends to be some far-right guy. I don't think it's far-right guy. I think he's a him guy, right? And he's a wannabe dictator, basically. So he had said, no, not funding Ukraine. Bottom line is he caved. The Europeans got him to cave. This was a huge deal. Now, there's a lot of reporting now on them trying to figure out how the hell they got him to cave. They're claiming they didn't bribe him. I'm not convinced. Now, I think there was probably a carrot and a stick involved. Carrot and stick is an expression we use in politics, meaning when you basically threaten somebody, but also offer some encouragement at the same time. I know in regular life that would sound kind of crazy, but in politics, the idea is that you threaten that if you don't do this, here's what's going to happen to you next. But if you come along and agree with us, look at what we'll do. We'll sell you weapons. We'll do this. We'll do that, right? What we did with Turkey, frankly. We offered Turkey the American F-16s if they came along and supported Sweden joining NATO. But I guarantee you, we probably privately made a lot of threats to them as well about other weapon systems they wouldn't get. So it's carrot and stick. In this case, I think the carrot, I suspect, even though the Europeans say it's not true, I think they offered Hungary money. The Europeans had held back around $30 billion. Euros and dollars are pretty much the same, so it's around 30 billion euros in European Union funds that were supposed to go to Hungary, but got held back because Orban is a wannabe dictator. He has been undercutting the rule of law in Hungary. Thank you, Bryce. The judicial institutions, the judiciary, the media, and the European Union held back $30 billion, 30 billion euros. Recently in December, 10 billion euros was freed up. Kind of weird. I remember here at the time looking at that and going, this feels awfully suspicious to me, right? Still 20 billion being held. Thank you, Monica. Today, the European leaders are saying, no. That money is still frozen. He's not getting a dime. I have a feeling two things happened. One, he is getting a dime. Sometime in the next 6 months, and keep an eye on this, sometime in the next 6 months, maybe a year, but I think 6 months, but certainly the next year, see if any of those European Union funds that are remaining, the 20 billion that are remaining, thank you, Gertie, see if any of them get released for Hungary. Maybe another 10 billion, maybe another 5 billion. I'm very suspicious. And the point here is it'll be just long enough that no one can point to it being a trade-off versus Ukraine. No. He made some progress in this area, that area. We did this with the Cuban Missile Crisis, by the way. Without going through the whole Cuban Missile Crisis, you can Google it, but it was, near World War III between America and the Soviet Union. When the Soviets moved nuclear missiles into Cuba, the U.S. said, no, you don't. You're getting rid of them. And we almost went to war. I mean, very close to going to war. It was a big deal. Well, part of the solution to that was the U.S. removing, as I recall, the U.S. removing nuclear weapons from Turkey. Thank you, Tom Stelling. Appreciate that. Tom just signed up as a subscriber on YouTube. Thank you. Make sure you link it to Discord. You got to go to Discord. Make sure you have an account. Go into your settings and log into YouTube there. So it connects the accounts, and it will recognize you to join us Saturday morning if you want for the Saturday show, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S. So what was I saying? Sorry, I saw that. I wanted to thank him. Thank you, LWD. We were talking about Hungary. Help me out, guys. JFK. Yeah, the Cuban Missile Crisis. So part of the solution was the U.S. promised to remove nuclear weapons from Turkey, but we didn't do it for 6 months, as I recall. And the whole point was we didn't want to make it look like, oh, the Russians were able to threaten us and get something out of it, right? Thank you, LWD. One of my favorite cities on the planet, Rome. I would say Rome and Paris are the big two. Thank you for that. So therefore, we delayed it. And I wonder whether the same thing might happen here, that the European Union might delay giving some money to Orban in Hungary, wait 6 months, so it doesn't look like we paid him off to agree to let this go through. Just my suspicion, okay? Just my suspicion. Now, the other side of it though was the stick. It's the carrot and stick that got Hungary to come along today and support the European Union giving financial aid to Ukraine. That was the story we're talking about is $50 billion, or $54 billion actually, 50 billion euros was agreed by the European Union today to be provided to Ukraine over the next 4 years as financial aid. The other thing I think was a stick. We know from the Financial Times, I think it was breaking last Friday, that the European governments got together, thank you, Becky, and they just beat the bejesus out of Hungary. They came up with a plan, and I think they leaked it publicly on purpose, by the way, because sometimes, keep in mind, sometimes leaks of things to the media are on purpose. You're doing it to basically freak somebody else out. So this leaked them to the media to show Hungary what was going to happen. And basically, a large number of European leaders got together and said, and the document says this, if Hungary refuses this week today, when the European Union leaders were meeting today, if Hungary refuses today to go along with aid to Ukraine, we are going to go public and we are going to call for the European Union to stop funding Hungary altogether. And it will put such a fear into international investors in Hungary, into banks, into businesses, into people holding Hungarian loans, people holding Hungarian whatever the damn currency is in Hungary, that it would basically be a disaster for the Hungarian economy, absolute disaster. And just the threat of doing that would be enough to seriously cripple the Hungarian economy, because investors would be like, I just don't want to deal with the possibility of that happening. Well, that may be what also scared him into finally coming along. That, along with, and again, I still think they bribed him. So at least bribed him in terms of the money the country getting money. So this was a huge deal, guys. Absolute huge deal today. That the European Union came through with $54 billion, 50 billion euros for Ukraine. Let me look here really quick. Yeah. So the other thing regarding money is the United States. Obviously, we're all trying to figure out when is the U.S. going to get its act together to support Ukraine again. As you know, all money has run out for Ukraine with the U.S. government. The way it's done is the president doesn't have his own money to give other countries or weapons or whatever. The Congress has to basically appropriate the money, authorize and appropriate it. If they don't do that, there's no money for the president to use. He can't just take U.S. weapons and say, I'm just going to take these tanks and give them to Ukraine anyway. He can't do that. So we are waiting for Congress to go ahead and allocate more money for Ukraine. The Republicans in Congress have said no. First, it was the MAGA Republicans who said no. They control the House of Representatives. Democrats are in control in the Senate, but also the U.S. Senate isn't very MAGA. It's more mainstream, conservative Republican, but normal Republican, not MAGA Republican. The House Republicans are controlled by MAGA, and they literally are the majority. They run the House of Representatives. Well, the problem you get is that the House members said, no, we're not going to pass any aid for Ukraine. Because Donald Trump told them not to, and he reiterated again 2 weeks ago, we're told, that Trump just called them up and said, no. Trump doesn't like Ukraine. Trump loves Putin. We know this. Trump has a fetish attachment to Russia, and Trump simply wants to help Putin and wants to hurt Ukraine. That's not simple. With Trump, everything is personal. I think there's a bribe involved. I think there's some kind of the Trump businesses. Putin promised, hotels in Russia or something if Trump does X, Y, and Z. It's some corrupt reason, I'm sure, that Trump as president, would come through with helping Putin. Bottom line, though, is Trump does not want them to help Ukraine, period, and told them so. House Republicans are therefore refusing. Aid stopped. Well, in order to cover their face and not be responsible, if Ukraine falls basically to Russia, the House Republicans said, we're happy to consider funding Ukraine once Joe Biden protects the border, because why are we protecting Ukraine's border if we're not protecting America's border? So Biden got together with the House and Senate, or actually with the Senate negotiators first. Senate Republicans got together with Senate Democrats, U.S. Senate, and Biden, and they worked out a deal. They worked out a deal for the border. They worked out, I believe the deal also includes Ukraine and Israel, because all three are tied together. Well, what happens? It gets announced in the last week that Senate Republicans have agreed to a deal with Joe Biden to fix our border, and it is a border crisis, to fix our border crisis. What does Trump do? He calls the House Republicans and he tells them, kill the deal. I need a border crisis for my election in the fall. If you solve the border problem, what am I going to run on? Not only does Trump not have anything to run on, because he can't say, look at how bad the border is, but it's going to help Biden. And no, he's not wrong about this. It's going to help Biden because Biden can say, yeah, the border was a crisis and I fixed it. And I did it by working with Republicans in the Congress, in the U.S. Senate. I, Joe Biden, the Democrat, am able to work with Republicans in the Senate and get things done. So why do you need to change the presidency to a Republican, right? Democrats and Republicans work together great. So on multiple levels, Trump did not like this. He told House Republicans and Senate, too, to kill the deal. The House Republicans killed the deal. The Senate Republicans then started talking about killing the deal. Well, Chuck Schumer, who's the top Democrat in the U.S. Senate, announced today that he's going to be making public in the next few days, possibly as early as tomorrow, the deal that Republicans and Democrats have reached in the Senate to address immigration, the immigration problem at our southern border with Mexico. He is going to probably hold a vote as early as next Thursday of next week, so in the next week from now, on the deal. And basically, what he's hoping, of course, is that Republicans join on and they don't basically kill the deal. The MAGA Republicans in the Senate, there's still some of them. There's still 10 or however many. And if so, then he's going to throw it to the U.S. House and see if the U.S. House has the nerve to kill a border deal that Republicans already agreed to. Because then Republicans are in themselves a weird position for the election, because Donald Trump will keep saying, I want to fix the border. Joe Biden doesn't. And Biden's going to go, are you kidding? I passed a bill in the Senate that even your Republicans agreed with, right? Even your Republicans agreed with. So what's the problem, right? So anyway, that's what's up with the border deal. We'll see. Nothing's moving yet, though. Zaluzhny. So thank you, Annie. Is that another postcard? It is. Pisa. I've not been to Pisa, though I do love my Italy. Oh, we have another Russian. You lie. You lie. I love the Russian trolls. Anybody who doesn't know, this is the Greek goat that goes off every time we have a troll who needs to have his wings clipped, and an angel gets their wings every time a troll gets clipped. So, Zaluzhny. So the intrigue continues with Ukraine's top general. Thank you, Paul, for the gift. Ukraine's top general, Zaluzhny. He is not just the head of the Ukrainian armed forces. Well, he's not the civilian head. He's the military head. Just like in the U.S., there's a civilian who's the Minister of Defense, Secretary of Defense, and then there's a general, a top general, who's in charge of the day-to-day, right? He's the top general. Well, story broke a few days ago. I think it's totally true. Reuters confirmed it, Financial Times, Bloomberg, I think, BBC, I'm forgetting, The Economist, I don't know about Bloomberg, but The Economist, BBC, all confirmed it, that Zelensky wanted to fire the general. Lots of disagreements, finally decided to fire him. Zelensky reportedly sat the general down Monday night and told him, you're leaving, I'm firing you, that's it. You can stay on as an advisor if you want. General said, I'm not interested in being an advisor, and you can't fire me because I'm not going to leave. Okay? Well, thank you, Rifa. Zaluzhny turns around and writes an article for CNN. And in CNN today, and it's very long, but for CNN, he lays out his vision for the next 5-6 months for Ukraine, things that need to happen, what Ukraine needs to do to really position itself for the next phase of the war. Ilya Ponomarenko, who's a really good Ukrainian journalist, wrote this today on Twitter. He said, here's my summary of what Zaluzhny wrote on CNN today. and this is Ponomarenko paraphrasing what he thinks is going on in Zaluzhny's, the general's head, okay? I know I have broad popular support in the country and that my dismissal will trigger an uproar. I will not leave unless I'm ordered to. I have a plan and a to-do list for war. I see a way to go and I say it, in other words, a way to go forward, and I say it publicly, and now it's your turn to decide what's next. So basically, Zaluzhny is publicly challenging Zelensky by going public and saying, this is my view for the next 5 months. Look at this great, forward-thinking vision I have for the country, for the military. Thank you, Vicky. And if you want to fire me, I dare you to, but I'm 20 points more popular in the polls, which is true. Zelensky is somewhere in the 80 percentile, whether it's 88 percentile popularity, approval. Zelensky's in the 60s. Now, Zelensky's still very popular in the 60s. Thank you, Becky. But, and Ellie, but 80s is even more popular than 60s, right? So Zelensky is still playing games with Zelensky on this. I don't like this. I've talked about this yesterday. I wish Zelensky and Zelensky got along. It's hard to know who's right in the sense of, look, the counteroffensive didn't work. That's not entirely the Ukrainians' fault because we didn't give them the weapons they needed. We dragged our feet. We dragged our feet so long, thank you, Becky, that it gave the Russians time to dig in horrific defensive lines that the Ukrainians, there's no way they could breach. Certainly not without the air power that we have not given them yet. The F-16s aren't even arriving till we think maybe this summer, and that's some of them. Right? And all the military experts will tell you there's no way the Ukrainian counteroffensive could have survived without air power, could have succeeded without air power. But we never provided the air power. Nonetheless, you've got a situation here where it is clear that Zelensky tried to fire Zaluzhny, and it is clear that Zaluzhny said no. And I said this last night, I'll say it again. President Zelensky is the elected leader of Ukraine. He is the civilian leader of Ukraine. Ukraine is a democracy. The top general is not the leader of the country. And if the top general actually told Zelensky, I'm not leaving, and now is publicly lobbying for his job, then in my view, that's tantamount to a coup d'etat. It is tantamount to a military takeover of the government. That I'm not even responsible to you, Mr. President. Honestly, it reminds me of the brats who worked for me at the United Nations, where literally I would tell them to do stuff and they'd go, no. They'd just be like, no. We're in a big bureaucracy. We're paid $130,000, $150,000 a year tax-free. Good luck kicking us out. That's what Zelensky's doing. I think it is, the more I think about it, the more I think he needs to leave today. He needs to leave now. He is challenging the civilian leader of the country. It is inappropriate. And frankly, it's almost inappropriate for the U.S. and Europe to fund a country like this if this man stays. Now, I would not be surprised. I would be very curious, and I think Europe and America will be careful about this, but I'd be very curious if our leaders got together and privately said, you know what, you stay, and we got news for you. We would love you to stay. Thank you, running, because we don't like the chaos and we don't like the turnover and we like consistency in this war. But if you stay now, it is seriously undercutting the democracy. We're talking about the top general in Ukraine who Zelensky tried to fire and he basically said no. It's not good. It is not good. In any case, it's not good for the country. One of the things too that we learned in graduate school, I went to graduate school at Georgetown. I did a law degree at Georgetown, but I also did a graduate degree there, a master's and a JD. And in graduate school, one of the things they taught us that it was actually an Israeli professor who died like in the 90s. I Googled him, brilliant man, very in the middle, like on, the crises in the Middle East, very interesting guy. And he would always talk about the political culture in the Middle East and how, for example, cultures of, this is the late 1980s, for example, how there was beginning to establish a culture of assassinations. You had Sadat in the 1970s. You had, I think you had King Hussein's father before that. You had King Hussein himself who was assassinated. And then now you have Abdullah, the son, who's there. But you had a number of assassinations, and I think Lebanon, I'm sure we had assassinations, but you had a lot of assassinations happening. And how in politics, there is a danger of the political culture sort of adopting these things as normal, and they become kind of almost self-fulfilling in the culture. So like more and more people start doing it. I mean, honestly, if you think in our own culture in America, some of the political extremism of the last several years, right? Suddenly the lies become normal. The insurrection, everybody spoke out about the insurrection. Now you've got everybody defending the insurrection, you know? Thank you, Vic. I don't know if you've got a, if you've got a question. If you do, feel free to post it, unless that was just a hello, thank you, which I very much appreciate. It's, sorry, whenever I go and because I want to thank people who give the gifts. Whenever I do that, I always forget where I am. Thank you, Scott. The political culture. Yeah, I worry about Ukraine developing a political culture where generals think they're above the law and generals think that they're really the true power and they decide when they leave and when they stay versus the elected government. It's incredibly dangerous. So again, I think the guy needs to step down for the good of Ukraine's democracy. Even though at the same time, I get why he's perhaps good. TikTokers, you can still hear. Somebody's complaining they couldn't hear. I'm assuming the rest of you can still hear on TikTok. Oh, Rui, our little Russian troll friend. Who cares about Ukraine? That's not our problem. Well, you're going to care about it if America goes to war in Europe and has to defend World War III over an advancing Russia that's taken over NATO allies, including Poland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, who we are treaty bound to defend with our lives. You're going to care about it then. The only reason you don't care about it is you are probably pro-Russian, I'm guessing. You might even be Russian, is my guess. Thank you, Kronos. That's my guess. And Michael, if you can't hear anything, folks, feel free to write Michael a message to tell him to leave and come back, because that's typically what happens when people can't hear. He may be a troll. Are you sure he was a troll? Okay, whoever got rid of him, I hope you know for a fact he's a troll. Because if that guy wasn't a troll, I didn't want to get rid of, obviously. Make sure that you were right about that. Whoever just knocked the Michael guy out. All right? Somebody double check, because somebody just got rid of him. Oh, there you are. Okay, good. I thought somebody just wiped the comment out. Okay, got it. Yeah, so give me a break. We're not treaty bound to help Ukraine. It depends. Well, depends who you talk to, because there was a treaty, actually a memorandum, so to speak, that we were bound to defend Ukraine. But if Russia's next move is to invade Europe, which many people fear it is, if he wins in Ukraine, that the Soviet Union is back, that it may not be communist anymore, but it's just as dictatorial. Thank you, Norway. Thank you, Red. It's just as intent on taking over its neighbors, that Putin absolutely wants to put the band back together. He wants to take at least several of the old countries back that were part of the Soviet Union. That means Ukraine. It means Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, for sure. He also wouldn't mind getting parts of Poland. And many people worry, many of the experts worry that that's what's coming next if we lose Ukraine. That Ukraine, as much as, if you are a layman, we talk about the morality and the ethics of Ukraine and genocide and Putin literally trying to wipe the country off the map because we're trying to convince you why it matters. Thank you, SV. And that is a real argument. Oh, my God. Okay, by the way, guys, just so you know, anybody who mentions Scott Ritter on TikTok should be immediately banned. He's a pedophile who is pro-Russian. Just appeared at an event with Kadyrov in Chechnya. He's American, convicted pedophile, insane. Somebody just mentioned him, scroll back, ban that person right away. Anytime that guy's name come up, ban him. You get it. That's clearly, that is not a normal person visiting us who's promoting that guy. I guarantee you. Thanks, Callum. In any case, yeah. So that's why we're defending Ukraine. In general, we talk about the morality of it, but when it comes down to it, people who are much more familiar with the political science of it and the defense aspect and the foreign policy, thank you, Vicky, is we're at danger of going to war with Russia, not over Ukraine. We're at danger of going to war with Russia if Russia actually wins in Ukraine. Then we're in danger. And I've really sort of changed my mind on this over the last few years. And the Europeans are absolutely freaking out over it. The European leaders who know this stuff are freaking out in the last several months. That's why you keep hearing so many of these military folks talking in Europe about possible war with Russia in the next, 3 to 20 years. Thank you, Monica. They are freaking out about this. And frankly, we should be freaking out about it too, because I got news for you. Thank you, Vicky. As any student of history will tell you, wars in Europe don't stay in Europe. When a world war breaks out in Europe, America will get involved. And there's no way for us to sit back. We've got the treaty agreements, but also there's no way for us to sit back. So yeah, I mean, I know the guy was being a troll saying, why do we care? But it has become a MAGA talking point saying, why do we care about Ukraine? And putting aside the fact that Republicans used to care about freedom and democracy, they used to actually believe that America was the world's policeman, that we were, the one force for good in the world that actually could go and make a difference. A lot of you guys are forces for good, but you didn't have the power we had to go make a difference. And we've had problems along the way, but we're still a good country, and we've still had pretty damn good track record, I would say. Right? I mean, again, put Iraq and Afghanistan aside, right? Although the first Iraq war was damn successful. The first one in 1991, damn successful. We invaded to stop Saddam Hussein from taking Kuwait. He took a sovereign country on his border and literally ate it. He did the exact same thing that Russia's doing in Ukraine, wiped it off the map. And we invaded with about 90 other countries, 91 countries total or so, and took it back. And it was everybody helping. It wasn't just the U.S., but the U.S. coordinated. It was George Bush, the father, the old George Bush, George H.W. Bush, Herbert Walker Bush, the father, the first one, who was amazing. And foreign policy, amazing man. Maddie Man, do you think if Trump is reelected that it would be the end of Ukraine? Yes. Also, would Putin end the life of Zelensky if that happened? He's trying anyway. But if he's trying anyway, I don't know whether it would be easier for Putin to kill Zelensky or not. If we're not there, I think the U.S. being there, for example, even though Putin's tried to kill Zelensky, I think there is still a weird, up until now, there was a weird dynamic of the Russians still worrying and going, if we execute Zelensky, even worse, his family, his wife and kids, that could galvanize support in the West. It may not make everybody go, oh my God, we have to pull out. It may make everybody go, you freaking animals over there in Moscow, we're going to double our support, right? That's the concern they've got. If Donald Trump is president, Trump will probably make a comment praising and going, hey, at least he's a strong man, Putin. He knows how to kill his opponents. Wish I could do that in America. That's what Trump's going to say. So that is certainly a concern. But I think, is it the end of Ukraine? I will put it this way. The end of Ukraine is much more likely if America doesn't get in and help again. The question is, can the Europeans help? About half of the military aid came from Europe, half of it came from America. I'm not convinced Europe's got the money, let alone the military construction, not the business, but right, the actual infrastructure to create the weapons that Ukraine needs. I mean, to double the amount of weapons that Ukraine's getting, can they do that? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. So I think if we don't help Ukraine, I think they're in real trouble in a couple of years. That's for sure. So anyway, I keep feeling like we're at the end of we're in the discussion. We're not. I've still got more news to tell you guys first. Hang on, then we'll do discussion. So that was Zaluzhny. Great news today. Ukraine sank another Russian ship. Beautiful video of this. It's a Russian Tarantul. I'm not really familiar with this, but a Tarantul class. That almost sounds like tarantula. I'm going to guess maybe it is based on the Russian word for tarantula. Is it, you Ukrainians? Thank you, Christine. Tarantul, is that based on tarantula, the spider? Although our tarantulas really spiders, I always forget about that. They may not actually be spiders. Is it, Dale? I was thinking it sounds like it is. Thank you, Allie, for the confetti. It is a missile corvette, a missile-carrying ship, and the Ukrainians blew it up with 3 drones today. Beautiful video. The first video, you see them, so they are spiders. Okay, so it's tarantulas. Yep. Oh, are they spiders? I didn't know. Okay, I wasn't quite sure if they were something else. The first missile hits, huge explosion. The second drone ship. The second drone ship comes in, and they've got beautiful Actually, Sky, you're funny you said Titanic because I'm going to literally mention that in a second. The second drone comes in, again, a drone ship, to this Russian ship sunk today, Russian military ship. And beautiful night vision on it, camera. And you see it coming in and you see the water getting, so the Russians are literally firing into the water with their guns, trying to stop this thing. And you suddenly see the side of the Russian ship getting closer, and you see part of it that's very bright with like webbing on it. And I didn't quite know what it was. Well, when the drone gets really close, you see this is a hole in the side of the ship caused by the first drone ship. So there's a hole in the Russian military ship. The second drone, they maneuvered, because it's, you know, it's like a remote control. They maneuvered and hit the exact same spot twice. So there's already a hole in the side of the ship. They went into the hole and then blew up the second drone. I mean, it was, the video's out there everywhere. It was magnificent. You know, often these drone videos, you're like, I'm not sure what's going on. Oh my God. It's out there. I mean, you'd have to go on Twitter. I follow a lot of defense folks on Twitter, but you can probably find it elsewhere. You know what? I'll try to remember to find it, guys, and we can put it on our Discord. I should have grabbed it today. I didn't think of that. I can probably find it on here and put it on the Discord. So that's the second drone. The third one comes in, and I don't know that we see where the third one hits, but the third drone ship comes in, Ukrainian, attacking the Russian ship. You see a huge explosion, and the next, actually, I did grab a picture of this. The next picture you see is hang on a second, I'll show you. Oops, come on. The next picture you see, actually, here you go. I'll show you a little bit of this. So this was, I did take pictures at least. This is the picture. Now, okay, here you go. This is the picture of the ship as the second drone is approaching. Look at that. Look right above the, you see the seal on the picture? The seal, not the seal, but the sceau in French, that thing. That right there is the hole in the ship caused by the first drone. So I'll show you guys, right? I'm trying to go, you guys, you can pretty much see here. That is the hole in the ship caused by the first drone. This is the second drone approaching it. This is the second drone like 10, 15 feet away from the hole. Now the hole's much bigger. Check it out. The hole is much bigger now. It's that hole. It looks like it's magma almost, this spot. That's all the hole caused by the second ship. Well, they come in, hit the ship. This is the last video image you see. This is the hull of the ship standing straight in the air. Not the hull. What do you call the front end of the ship standing straight in the air as it's sinking? Look at this. This is something out of the Titanic. It's literally the front end of the bow. Is it the bow? The bow of the ship. Look at that. I mean, it's literally something out of Titanic. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I mean, a beautiful strike. Very annoying to the Russians, I'm sure. Once again, the ship was worth, what did we say, 60 to 70 million? Yeah, 60 to 70 million dollars, which is around 60 to 70 million euros. Really significant strike. And once again, Ukraine, a military without a navy, really, has now every month seems to be sinking some massive Ukrainian Russian ship. It is not a U.S.-made drone. We believe it is Ukrainian-made drone. Thank you, Pedro. They've been making their own class of drones that are ship drones. Now, it's possible, I don't recall, it's possible that they were developing these things with the Brits over the last several years. I don't quite remember that. I don't know if Callum's here, if he either knows or can confirm that, because Callum is former British military, so either he knows, but whether he can say either way. But they're not U.S., no. They are Ukrainian, but again, somebody might have helped them get there early on. Okay, so Callum says they were made with the Brits. It's public knowledge now. Okay, bingo. So it was made with the Brits, and they're literally drone boats, like you know, ships, little boats that you control on the water with remote control. Except they've got a bomb inside, which is kind of amazing. Yeah, promoted to submarine, exactly. Looking here. I'm not going to go to that story. An Azov commander, this is interesting actually. So an Azov commander, thank you Lara for the gift, and Charles, an Azov commander who are the folks that were fighting in Mariupol in southeastern Ukraine. These are the folks that fought for 2 months and like 2,000 Ukrainian troops held off 14,000 Russian troops by hiding inside a steel factory, a steel plant called Azovstal, and firing at the Russians, and did a great job. And the Russians hate these guys. Well, the Russians finally capture the plant. The guys surrender. Zelensky ordered them to surrender. They ran out of ammunition. They ran out of food and water. They were going to die in a week. And Zelensky said, this is stupid. You're heroes. You might as well live to fight another day, right? And become POWs. We'll trade you. Well, the Russians take them as prisoners of war and then put a bunch of them up for prosecution, claiming they're NZs, right? I try not to use the word because TikTok gets upset, but they're, those people who fought in World War II. Russia likes to accuse everybody else of what it is, right? So the Ukrainians are racist, the Ukrainians are NZs, this kind of thing. Well, the Russians are still holding more than 900 of the Azov battalion men and women who were fighting in Mariupol. There were 2,000 of them. 900 are still being held by Russia. And a lot of them are being held in Russia. And thank you, Maxime. And the Russians are accusing them, because they're accusing them of being NZs. I mean, it's crazy. Mind you, Russia, by the way, Russia loves NZs. Russia has loved to work with those people that were, like the former Germans from World War II. Russia loves them. I mean, I could tell you stories about this. Russia always, the Putin government was happy to work with basically neo-NZ. I use the word NZ so it doesn't get as upset, the automatic translation, and then, the powers that be at TikTok. But the Russians love to work with the bad guys in Russia, the extremist far-right groups, to go after gay and trans people. Loved them. The number 2 guy in the Wagner group had swastikas and all sorts of other crazy NZ tattoos all over his body. And the Russians loved it. The Wagner group were like Putin's pets. So the Russians love, or as Joshua says, Poland never forgets. Yeah, Poland is quite familiar with how the Russians love the NZs. So Russia, always keep an eye on this stuff. Thank you, Jeff. As I said, Russia lies. Russia lies a lot. You just got to be aware of it. In any case, I'm going to skip the China story. I'm not as interested in the China story. I'm trying to sort of go through, because there was a lot of news today. 2 foreign volunteers were killed in Ukraine today, both French. They were civilian volunteers, so they were not military volunteers. Russia got very ticked off. Thank you, Amanda. Russia is upset. Thank you, John Smith. Very nice of you. Russia is upset at reports that the U.S. is moving more nuclear weapons into Europe, tactical nuclear weapons, which are the smaller ones. There were reports that the Brits are preparing to accept more U.S. nuclear weapons in response to the Russians moving nuclear weapons, tactical, the smaller ones, into Belarus in Eastern Europe, right north of Ukraine, actually. Russia's trying to move some of its nukes closer to Europe just to be threatening. So the story is, the Brits and the Americans have not confirmed this. Thank you, Adventures. But the story is that the Brits have okayed the Americans moving some of their small nukes into Britain. They're having, I think, did you guys tell me before they were moved out last time, like 2006 or something? I forget when the last time is they were there, but we're moving them back in principle. We don't have it confirmed, basically to tell Russia, okay, 2008, Fat Assassin says, you do it, we're going to do it, right? Tit for tat. You move more weapons closer to Europe, we're going to move more weapons closer to Europe. Well, I want you to listen to the Russian statement. Now, keep in mind, if in fact we are moving these weapons to Britain, and keep in mind, the Brits already have nuclear weapons. So it's not like, oh my God, nuclear weapons in Britain. You've already got nuclear weapons. You've got nuclear submarines. You've got very good nuclear weapons. The big, not just the little ones. You've got the big ones, right? The big scary ones that take out cities and stuff, okay? But I want you to listen to this from the Russians. Deputy Foreign Minister of Russia in charge of arms control. If they believe that reintroduction of nuclear weapons in the UK is a deterrent to Russia, then they are mistaken. We urge them to stop this endless cycle of escalation. Okay, just to remind you, if America is moving nuclear weapons into Britain, it's because Russia moved them into Belarus first. The Russians are literally saying, oh my God, who would think of moving nuclear weapons closer inside Europe? That's horrible. It won't accomplish anything, and it's going to cause a cycle of escalation. Oh, but they totally forgot that they're the ones who did it first, and that's the entire reason America would be moving nuclear weapons into Britain, which the Russians are complaining about. I mean, they're liars, guys. I always say this. Russian foreign policy is based on lies. And frankly, it reminds me of some other people here in my country where everything's a lie. And the idea is if you lie enough about something, nobody knows what the truth is, right? Nobody knows. They think, well, I can't trust anybody because sure, America says they're doing it, but Russia says they're doing it for this reason, right? And is it something in the middle? I don't know. Right? So that's what all the lies are based on. Last little story. This was interesting. So Budinoff, the other general, thank you, Jeddah Mom and Glenn, the other general who we know of very well in Ukraine, General Budinoff. I mean, there's many other generals, but the two famous ones are Zaluzhny, who's the head of the Ukrainian armed forces, I should say the top general in the Ukrainian armed forces and the top general in the war, and Budinoff, who's the general who is in charge of Ukraine military intelligence. He's quite a piece of work, like 38 years old, brilliant guy, very sly, very funny. Budinoff has just done some interviews with CNN and I think maybe some others. And this is what he had to say. He was asked about Donald Trump. I think this was from the CNN interview. I think I saw it on CNN. He says he's not worried about Trump winning the presidency. Trump is an experienced person. He has fallen many times and gotten back up again, and this is a very serious trait. He also then said that he doesn't think that Republicans and Trump are going to side with Russia. You know, it's a lie that people say they're pro-Russian. You know, it's not true. I thought it was very interesting that Budinoff, thank you, Hot Switch, and Bart and Boy Mom and Hot Switch again, Budinoff is playing a very smart political game. Obviously, it gets you nowhere if you're Ukraine to say, yeah, Trump, he's in Putin's pocket. He's going to really screw us over. That doesn't get you anything, right? The worst could be that Trump actually wins and then he hates your guts because you were criticized. And Trump, especially, you know, Trump judges everything based on Trump. So Trump is going to absolutely hate Ukraine and make policy based on Ukraine criticizing him. So very smart of Budinoff to say this. He then said, and I thought this was fascinating because this is something you guys have brought up before. Many of you have asked about this. Budinoff says he wants A-10s. A-10s are these, and I'm the foreign policy guy, not the military guy, but I do know military stuff. A-10s are called Warthogs. They're very old planes we've got that are very slow moving. I believe they're susceptible to being shot at, so they would need other planes like F-16s or whatever, maybe helicopters, to protect them. But Budinoff said Ukraine needs A-10s, the U.S. aircraft. He said, quote, "This is what can really help inflict a military defeat on Russia." That I found fascinating because we haven't really heard people talking about the A-10s at this point. I mean, several of you have brought it up and we've kind of said, I don't know. Now, Callum said it would absolutely change the game. Interestingly, we don't hear people talk about it a lot, though. Thank you, C3. I mean, the U.S. has a history of using these very effectively against Iraq. I want to say the first Iraq war, probably the second too, but going in and just destroying the Iraqi tanks with these things. I mean, crazy what we did. You know, very effective. But Callum says you need air dominance first. Thank you, Jonathan, for the gift. Guys, please do keep the gifts coming on TikTok, by the way, and YouTube. I keep forgetting to ask, but you guys have kept it going. Thank you. You know, just helps to pay the bills, so I appreciate it. Let me put it this way. If they need air superiority first, and thank you, Hedge and Fred, for the gifts, and Christian. If the Ukrainians need air superiority first, can they get that with the F-16s they're going to be getting? I think you're writing the same thing, Afto Tavari. I've been saying Budinov. Oh, you're saying Budanov. Ah, that's true. It is Budanov. I saw it said the other day Budanov on TV, and I was like, I keep forgetting to pronounce it that way. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I keep saying Budanov. I find every word in Ukrainian has an accent in the place that I never suspect. I don't know what. First of all, I did study Russian, so I don't know whether Russian says it differently, but I always do the wrong accent in Ukrainian. So sorry about that. I see what you mean. Budanov. I'm going to have to try to remember that. Budanov. But yeah, so what would it be that Ukrainians would need? Is F-16s and A-10s enough for them to get air superiority? But also, how many do they need? You know? Thank you, Stephen. How many would they need in order to pull that off? You know, I mean, is this the kind of thing they could even do? I thought we kept hearing that the F-16. Sorry, I try. It's not easy, you know. But Budanov he runs Ukrainian military intelligence. He is the Ukrainian military intelligence head. Yeah, very much so. Satoshi. That's Satoshi. That's funny. But that's his. Yeah, that's who he is. But that's the thing. I mean, can Ukrainian get enough? What does Ukrainian need in terms of weapons and how many to establish air superiority over the Russians, right? 6-to-10 ratio for F-16s to protect the A-10s. What do you mean 6-to-10? 6-to-10 what? F-16s to protect an A-10 or 6-to-10 Ukrainian planes to Russian planes? What do you mean? Chazak says F-16s top cover, A-10s ground support. But that's what I mean. Like I worry about like what else? Okay, ATACMS, AMRAAMs. See, this is what I mean is I worry that there's a much larger package they need, and we're never going to give it to them. Numanom says 200 to 300 F-16s. I don't think they're getting that. I think from Europe, they're going to get 50 if they're lucky. I mean, honestly, the only packages we've heard have been 18 from the Dutch, I think. Like, I'm not convinced they're going to get 50. And by the way, the Americans, U.S. cut off its support anyway. There was never any promise to start with of the U.S. providing F-16s, I don't think. Anyway, I worry. Biden doesn't want to give planes. Biden never wanted to give planes. You know? Let's see. I mean, and the Republicans are being just horrible now anyway. The MAGA Republicans want Ukraine to die. Basically, they've cut off all of Ukrainian aid. I just worry that I don't see anything changing. Meaning, why would the Republicans go ahead and help you? Maybe they will, but why would the Republicans go and help Ukraine? The Senate Republicans want to, but the Senate Republicans don't have backbone either. They're not willing to stand up to Trump and say, damn it, what are you doing? You know, they just, I don't know. I don't know. Thank you. Is that, your mommy? Thank you, your mommy, for that. And yes, User 435, election year makes a big difference with this too. Actually, I'm done with the news, so we'll do the Q&A and hang out. The news went long today, so I'll hang, we'll hang a good 15, 30 minutes right now and just do sort of the hangout with you guys. Oh, today's Thursday. Tomorrow the auctions are over. Go check out our auction items, guys, over on Discord. All our auctions end on Friday at different times. You click the end time in the auction, and it tells you when they end. But we do auctions for cool stuff from Ukraine on my Discord community, discord.aravosis.com. And every week, cool stuff from Ukraine. Half of the money gets sent back to Ukraine for charity work we do there, raising money for the military, raising money for kids. I mean, you name it. So humanitarian, but military too. Half the money goes to support me because I do this full time. So it literally lets me pay the bills. As I was showing you guys before, my favorite, because I like this stuff the most, a piece of a Russian Su-34 fighter bomber that was shot down over Kharkiv, Ukraine. It was found December 2nd and 3rd of 2022. There's video of them finding the aircraft crashed. I've got it over on the Discord, but this is a really neat piece of it. I like it. I think it's kind of a neat little piece because it looks cool. It looks like a little, but it's a piece of the plane. It's painted yellow. It's still got, you may not be able to tell, but it's got the yellow paint, kind of yellow-green. That is the paint that a lot of these internal parts of Russian planes have. Anyway, I think it's very cool. So that's there. Another favorite that you guys like is our challenge coin. This is one of the last ones I've got. This is a challenge coin of Russian warship Go F Yourself. This is the based on the Ukrainian stamp showing a Ukrainian soldier flipping the middle finger to the Russian warship the Moskva. And that's the Russian warship that told the Ukrainians to surrender. And the Ukrainians responded, Russian warship Go F Yourself. Remember that? That's this ship. Well, the Ukrainians then sank it 6 weeks later. Really cool. Really cool. So anyway, very neat stuff. Burp, burp. TikTok. Have fun. There you go. Thank you, TikTok. Anyway, lots of other stuff. Actually, well, since tomorrow's the end, really, I love this. It's kind of a Ukrainian military stamp, a new one. It hasn't been used, but I think it's very pretty. It says Ukrainian Armed Forces. It's not Velcro on back. It's meant to be sewn onto your uniform, but it's a very pretty patch. I like this one. Actually, it was, yeah. But got this from Ukraine. Very neat. The ceremonial cutting boards that are very pretty too, the Petrikivka style from Ukraine, you can see. Painted by this local artist we know. She does a lot of really pretty stuff. And we've also got, oh, well, I'm just going to show you everything. I've only got about 6 things this week, really. Very pretty bracelet that you can see that says Ukraine. It has the sunflower on it. Oop, the dog's going to want some water. But very pretty. That Vlad's daughter picked this out. And then finally, and we only have an American medium, I've got the sweatshirts that Zelensky wears from Ukraine that he wears. You can see these, the Zelensky sweatshirts we call them. We found the company that makes them and bought a number of them like a year and a half ago. And we're down to our last 3. We've only got American mediums left. Very comfortable. Okay, one second. Very comfortable sweatshirt, but they're only American mediums left, so that's the truth. Let me give the dog some water and we'll keep talking, guys. Thank you, whoever said they're authentic Ukrainian. I appreciate that. Okay, doggy, one second, you get water. You get water. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Okay. There you go. All right. No, we're not doing your teeth yet. I know. The dog wants me to brush her teeth because she knows after I brush her teeth, she then gets a treat. So she said around 7 o'clock, she starts begging. The sweatshirts are great. I didn't realize you got 2. You're funny. The sweatshirts really are nice, but they're mediums. You know, even for me, the medium, I would say it's a true American medium. Meaning, if you're a medium, it fits you. If you're between a medium and a large like I am, it's a little small. So, just to be honest, it is a true American medium. So, but it's a beautiful sweatshirt. It really is. Oh, anyway. If you're a real American medium, Jonathan, it should fit you. Like I said, I'm literally between a medium and a large, and it looks good on me, but it's just a little snug, you know? So, and I tried on 2 of them. They're all a little snug. So it definitely is only a medium and no more. Oops. Sorry. I'm trying to look here and see. La, la, la. What time do I have? Ukrainians raise the air. I'm not sure what that means, Yada. You mean what? I don't know what time. It's 7 o'clock here in Washington in the evening in Washington, D.C. Daniel asks, what do you think if America should give nukes to more NATO countries like NATO and the Baltics? That's an interesting question. Thank you, Sarah. I mean, 2 o'clock in Kharkiv. Yeah, I figured it's got to be 1 or 2 o'clock. And you guys are usually 7 hours ahead. That makes sense. Yeah, because it's 7 p.m. in the evening here, 1900 hours. So it would be 2 o'clock in the morning there. You know, in terms of whether the U.S. should give more nukes to the other European countries, I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag. If we start supplying more nukes to Europe, all of a sudden, the Russians may start supplying more nukes to Belarus. I mean, you never know whether it's going to grow into a larger competition. I mean, it's hard to say. Currently, the U.S. has tactical nuclear weapons in Belgium, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and Turkey. That's already not bad, right? So think about it. Belgium, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and Turkey have got U.S. nuclear weapons on their soil. We know the French and the Brits have their own nuclear weapons. They have nuclear missiles on submarines that are really good because submarines are impossible to hit practically. So those are never going, the Russians will never be able to touch them. So that's very, you got 7 European countries already. The Baltic states is an interesting concept. The issue with the Baltic states is, and I was saying this before, the question is whether you think nuclear weapons would stop. Now, I got to get my map. Tomorrow we'll get the map out. The Baltic states, you can Google Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. You'll see the 3 states in a row, 3 countries, northeastern Europe, bordering Russia and Belarus. And formerly of the Soviet Union, Russia wants them back. So Russia would love to get these countries back and under their, servitude. the issue with giving them nukes would be, would it stop Russia from invading in the future? I don't know if it would, because I think the only way having nukes stops Russia from invading is if you think that the country will use the nukes. So if we were to give nukes to Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, the only way it stops Russia from invading those countries is if Russia thinks if I invade those countries, they're going to nuke me. I don't think they would, right? Do you really think Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia are going to start a nuclear war because Russia's invading? I don't think so, right? Or the U.S. for that matter, if we're in control of the weapons. I think we would tell them, hold out as long as you can, and we will go to war and we will kick the Russians out. Why not? Well, the why not is if they use their nukes, Russia's going to use their nukes in response. And then what happens, right? Russia invades, Latvia nukes somewhere, right? Where's Ukraine on the map? That's true, Callum. Dry January is over. That's funny. It's February 1st. But I mean, then the Russians nuke you back. I think the only real credible use for nukes is convincing the other country not to nuke you first. Because for sure, if Russia nukes us, we're nuking them back. But we don't want to get into a tit for tat. Biden wouldn't do it. I'll tell you one thing, Biden for sure wouldn't do it. Biden would not use nukes first if he could help it, because he'd be afraid Putin's going to use his nukes. And what if Estonia gets invaded by Russia and they've got American nukes, let's say. They don't, but let's say they did. And Estonia drops a nuke on Russian troops right across the border in Russia. Or maybe even, what if Estonia drops it on Estonian soil on top of, but a smaller nuke, on top of Russian troops on Estonian soil, so that they didn't hit Russia, but they did kill Russian troops. Russia responds and drops one of its nukes. But Russia, rather than hitting Estonian troops, says, we're just going to hit, I'm already forgetting, is it Tallinn, the capital? We're just going to hit the capital of Estonia. We're just going to drop a nuke on it. Like, sure, you killed several hundred Russian troops or 1,000 Russian troops somewhere in a field in Estonia. We're dropping our bomb on your capital. And then what are you going to do? You're going to drop your bomb on Moscow from Estonia? Do you think the Americans want that to happen? Because the second your bomb hits Moscow, they're going to hit Paris, right? I mean, if you're gaming this out, bingo. Derry goes, game over, man. That's exactly it. Like, that's not a good scenario. I worry. I still think our nukes are useful, but I think our nukes are useful in stopping other countries from using their nukes first. As I said, Israel's nukes didn't stop Hamas from invading. You know, because Hamas kind of knows Israel's not going to use its nukes back on them, you know? So that's, I don't know. I mean, the only deterrent they serve is if Russia thinks that the country that has the nukes will use them if Russia invades. And I'm not convinced they will. You know? Now, having said that, if the Russians were to invade Great Britain or France, they might get nuked. That's different. Because Estonia doesn't have its own nukes. If Estonia had its own nukes, Estonia could simply make clear and say, look, we develop nukes now. You literally put you take 1 inch of our soil and we're nuking you. And if you don't think we're going to do it, you know, we lived under your thumb for 45 years, or not 40, even long. Well, was it 45? When did they grab the Estonia? Was it right after World War II, or was it before? Was it late 30s that they grabbed the Baltic states? I'm trying to remember the Soviets. You know, but we were under your thumb for 40, 50 years. We're never going back. 1940, that's what I thought. It was early. So it was around 50 years. You know, we're not going back. If you present a credible enough threat, then it might work. You know, anyway. What happens if Russia attacks Poland? Well, in principle, they're at war with America if a Democrat's president or if Nikki Haley's president, but not if Donald Trump is president. Thank you, Christian. If Donald Trump is president, Russia gets praised and says, well, you know, Poland was kind of Russian anyway, and I like strong leaders. The Poles are losers. That's what would happen if they attacked, I think. So Biden's president, we go to war. if Trump's president, not a damn thing happens if the Russians invade Poland, I think. Except that there'd be a lot of pressure on him from some Republicans. But honestly, Republicans have never stood up to Donald Trump. Why would they do it now? Republicans didn't stand up to Donald Trump when he tried to violently overthrow the government. Why do you think they do it if he tries to violently overthrow Poland? You know what I mean? They literally didn't stand up to him when he tried to violently overthrow Washington. And then we're going to defend Poland? I would. It's a treaty obligation. I don't think Trump will. Trump's already said he won't. He told the Europeans 4 years ago, I'm not coming to your defense, and I'm going to dismantle NATO. So, hopefully the UK or somebody else does get involved, Paul. I hope so, but it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Anyway. Does Russia want all of Ukraine? Yes. No, they do want all of Ukraine. The question is how much would be enough, and I don't know. But they want all of Ukraine. Part of the problem, a free Ukraine is really dangerous to Russia, but not because they're a bunch of banderites who are Enzis and, they're threatening genocide against their Russian minority. None of that's true. The biggest danger, I think, Ukraine poses to Russia is they're a free Slavic democracy living on Russia's border. And the Russians have said too many times, the Ukrainians, they're not even real. They're Russians. They're Russians. They just don't know it. Well, if they're Russians and they're able to make a free economy in a democratic country with a free economy, mind you, democracy has some issues. The country has some issues, but they are a democracy. If they're able to make a democracy full of Russians work, then why wouldn't it work in Russia? Because Putin said they're Russians, right? So clearly it works for Russians. He can't afford, and frankly, China with the Taiwanese. China can't afford to have Taiwan either be free and independent because they're a free democracy with a great economy. I thought you needed communism for that, right? Guess not if you're Chinese. What a surprise. I've not watched Servant of the People yet. No. I know that's Zelensky's comedy show that he acted in when in the show he becomes president. What country in the world is not corrupt? Nobody, of course, but there's varying levels of it. Interesting thing, and we talked about this the other day, the new survey is out by the Corruption Index, which is like the survey of corruption. And the Ukrainians ranked better than the Russians. And the Ukrainians actually improved for the last 12 years or so. They've been improving on the list, getting better and better in terms of corruption and beating it. The Russians are actually going down and getting more corrupt every year. But Ukraine beat the Russians in terms of corruption. Also, the Ukrainians were less corrupt than the Turks, which I thought was very funny. Because Turkey, we've got a NATO treaty obligation to go in and go to war literally with Russia if Russia touches them. I don't remember where the UK was. We went through sort of all of this a couple days ago. I don't recall where. You guys can Google it, though. I think it's transparency.org. And they've got a nice little list, and you can literally type in the search bar any country, and it pulls them up. It's really interesting. It's very interesting. So check it out. Oh, Jillian. Hey, Jillian. Why are normal Republicans scared of Trump? Huh. It's a question of fascism. But I mean that literally, the history of fascism. And I don't know enough about it. But I don't know how you get from, for example, when Trump started, he wasn't in charge of the party when he started. But he still scared Republicans. And some of them stood up to him, like Lindsey Graham, who's Trump's biggest cult member now, stood up to Trump and hated him. Ted Cruz literally stood up to Trump, like, was he at the convention? And now Ted Cruz is Trump's biggest, bootlicker. I think for all of these guys, they're political cowards, right? They're in politics to survive. They're not in politics to do good. Most of them are there to make money and to be powerful and to have, right, again, just to have the power of people coming up and Senator, Congressman, Sasha, stop. Senator, Congressman, blah, 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 this kind of stuff. They like the power. They're not going to have the power if Trump's people are able to throw them out of office. Trump controls the grassroots so well that he's able to get them thrown out in primaries, because you have a primary, the Republican primary, where, right, even if in the general election, moderates would like the normal guy, in the primary, the Republicans like the crazy because the crazy MAGA folks are there. The other problem you've got is Trump's people are violent. Trump himself is violent. He tried to violently overthrow the election. His people tried to violently overthrow the election. Do you want to take that on? Do you really want to deal with a guy who might get you and your family killed? Really? I mean, you're in politics for the money or the whatever. You're not in politics to get killed, right? You don't want your family killed. Republicans in Congress have literally said they don't want to take on Donald Trump because when they have, their families have been threatened by Trump supporters, and it's just not worth it. That is the literal definition of fascism, okay? That is how it works. That is how it works. You know? It doesn't matter, and all your whataboutism isn't going to matter. You know? I love this. By the way, we've got somebody trying to, and this is what, and by the way, this is why Trump and fascism is able to survive, because people will defend it. Somebody on TikTok. What about Antifa? Who the hell's Antifa doesn't even exist. Antifa is this thing Republicans created, the MAGA Republicans especially, that's this liberal organization that's powerful and controls the country and controls, and even Antifa, anti-fascist is the name, Antifa, they even overthrew, they were the ones who tried to overthrow the government on January 6th. It wasn't Republicans, it wasn't Trump supporters. They've made up this fake group. I kid you not. Nobody in there are some of these losers that call themselves Antifa, literally, they're far left, anarchist, violent losers. But there's literally like 100 of them in Portland and Seattle in northwestern US, a couple hundred maybe. And literally, they like to terrorize Seattle and politics and Portland politics. That's it. They don't exist. I mean, I've worked in Democratic politics my entire life. They don't exist in Democratic politics. The crazies in Democratic politics are the squad, as far as I'm concerned. It's AOC, who I still think she's not crazy, but she's way to the left of me. Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush, they're all nuts. Those are our nut jobs on the Democratic side. But they're not violent nut jobs. They're just nut jobs, right? Antifa doesn't exist. But Trump supporters will literally do what that guy just did and go, well, yeah, Trump tried to violently overthrow the government on January 6th of 2021 and literally overthrow an American election, which would be a coup d'etat. But this Antifa group in Portland was, there you go. I watched Antifa attack a federal courthouse in Portland. Yes, that's awful. That's awful. A group of a couple dozen kids attacked a federal courthouse in Portland, Oregon, a state that doesn't matter, a city that doesn't matter, and that sucks and they should go to jail. I think that's a little different than your presidential candidate literally tried to violently overthrow the U.S. government, including calling for the vice president of the United States to be hung on a gallows they were going to erect. Okay? In order to overthrow the election and keep Trump in power when he lost, which would be a literal coup d'etat, I think that's a little more than some stupid children in Portland attacked a federal courthouse, which is terrorism, and they should go to jail. But I got news for you. Crazy little terrorist children in Portland attacking a courthouse is not the same thing as the president of the United States launched a coup d'etat. Okay? It's like defending communism in Eastern Europe by saying, the communists did murder a lot of people. Stalin killed 20 million people in Russia. But the other side of the politics, some of them committed crimes too. Come on. They're bullshit, Tom. Bullshit. No, you're a bullshitter and you're a troll. There's violent people on both sides. You're a troll. You're literally repeating what I just called a troll. Okay? Yeah, thank you. He's a troll. No, there's people on both sides. You tried to overthrow the government. You tried to have a coup d'etat. Okay? Trying to violently overthrow the government is not violent people on both sides. I mean, I don't know what is wrong with these people. But the problem is, this is how fascism exists and this is how fascism thrives, because people are sympathetic to fascists. They don't care. As long as their party is committing the violence, as long as their party is committing the crime, they don't care. Donald Trump so crossed the line. I hate getting into this stuff, but he's going to be the presidential candidate on the Republican side. There's no choice but to talk about it. He's so crossed the line that he's not Nikki Haley. He's not even, DeSantis, who I think is vile, but he's at least an American. I don't think DeSantis would violently overthrow the government, even though he would defend it. And he'd probably pardon all the coup, all the violent terrorists. He would pardon them, which is really bad. But even he gets really close to the line, but he doesn't cross it. Trump so crossed the line, it's not even funny. And if you're going to defend him, you're a bad human being and you're a bad American if you're going to defend him at this point. You just can't defend him at this point, and frankly, you can't vote for him at this point unless you're a bad American and a bad human being. I mean, there is no way for us to pretend that this is normal anymore. This is what happened in Europe. This is what happened leading to World War II. It's what happened in Spain. You just can't forgive when your country starts literally turning into dictatorship and fascism, and you write it off by going, well, the other guys had some children in Portland that attacked a federal courthouse. Yeah, they're little terrorists and they should go to jail. That doesn't give you the right to violently overthrow the government and throw out federal elections. You insane people. My God. It's just, it pisses me off. Now, he may just be a troll. That guy could be real. That guy, I think, is a real Republican. He talked like a real Republican, which is what's so sad, I mean, my God. How do these people not sit there? How do these people not sit there and just say, yeah, I'm a Republican, but this stuff's crazy? How do you not do that? I don't get it. Again, I'm happy to say, I think Ilhan Omar is a nut job. Cori Bush is a nut job. Not even a nut job. They're a-holes, actually. It's a little bit different, But they're extremist nuts, and I don't think they love this country very much, to be honest. AOC, different category, even though she's way to the left, But guess what? Didn't try to violently overthrow the government. You can be on one side of the politics and criticize people on your own side. It's actually okay to do. It's really okay. Show some backbone. Anyway. Relax. Quiet. Oh my God. Jeez. This is what I deal with because the dog wants her teeth brushed because she gets a treat after. So the last half hour, 25 minutes has been the dog quiet. Has been the dog literally whining as though someone's beating her. Every day I go through this for an hour before dinner, half an hour before she gets her teeth brushed. It's like, oh my God, drives me up the wall. It never works, but oh my God. Ugh, insane. Anyway, thank you. Good. Now she's giving up. She's going to her bed. Good. No, she's climbing into her little cat bed. She's like, okay, I'm going to go lay down for a few minutes. Thank you. Anyway, what else, guys? I do love her. She just drives me crazy when she whines. Yeah, now she's back in her cat bed, and that's good. What else, guys? Let's not talk about the orange dictator. What else we got? Although it's almost 7:30, we're going to quit soon anyway. 5-minute reprieve, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I don't do a recap. If we go too long, I'm not going to do a recap. Yeah, I won't be voting for Trump, that's for sure. My favorite Beatle, I don't have such a thing. I like the Beatles, but don't have a favorite. Don't know enough about them to have a favorite, so to speak, Man. I'll go away. And we should keep in mind, by the way, that that guy I think was just a Republican, which was sad. But a lot of these guys are also Russians and everything else, like that idiot so we just had another troll on TikTok. People like that could very well just be Russians. The Russians are here to just get us fighting about this stuff. Because they also know, and the advantage actually for the Russians is anytime we talk about Trump, and on the left, anybody who isn't a MAGA person who loves this country has no choice but to speak up about Trump. You can't just pretend it's normal that we're doing this all over again with this man. You just can't pretend it's normal. So every time we talk about it, it creates more of this. So the Russians love this stuff, and they'd love to get us talking about it. Do I think Putin's in the closet? No. I think some of his top advisors are. His spokesman, Peskov. I mean, come on. who knows about the man, but he would totally fit in a 1970s gay bar. Absolutely. Peskov with the little mustache and stuff. I mean, come on. And the head of propaganda for a while, what was his name? Oh my God, that girl. Peskov, there's some real issues, I think. The other one, forget it. Who's the one? You know the one I'm thinking of. It's not Vasilyev. What's his name? Head of propaganda. He's the one who talked about ripping gay people's hearts out and burning them and stepping on them. If a gay man died in a car crash, I would burn him alive. The biggest queen you've ever seen, this guy. Soloviev. I don't think it's Soloviev. That's not Soloviev, is it? It's not the guy who has the TV show now. He was the head of propaganda. Is it Soloviev? He was literally like the head of propaganda. Still does have a pretty senior job. That girl, oh my God. Is it Soloviev? Let me look, but I think Soloviev is the other guy. Let me see. No, it's not Soloviev. No. This is Soloviev, not Soloviev. Soloviev just has a TV show. I said the guy that was the head of propaganda, he works for the Russian government. He was running one of the little sub-ministries of propaganda. Yeah. No. You'll know him when you find him. Oh God. He's the biggest queen you will find. And even his speech about, guys, don't make guesses that are clearly not who we're talking about. I said head of propaganda. I did not say former president. Was Medvedev the former head of propaganda? No. I don't mean to be lecturing, but this is like school. You got to listen to what teacher says and respond appropriately. Former head of propaganda, one of the propaganda agencies. Hold on. Russian head propaganda. You can probably find it by just saying gay heart. Gay heart. He talked about literally burning alive gay hearts. Did I say the foreign minister? I don't think I said the foreign minister. I said former head of propaganda. And I said kind of a big queen. Lavrov is not a big queen. Hold on, I'm going to find this. And I can find this by saying Russia gay heart burn. And then he used to talk about nuking the West a lot too. Oh, this is pissing me off. The problem is there's too much. The Russians put out so much homophobia that whenever you look for a story, too much stuff comes up. This is funny. You can't find the, he was big on TV 5-10 years ago. Oh, God. I'm going to say propaganda head. Although, again, it was 5 years ago. Yeah, see, now it's a different guy, Vladislav Surkov, but it was before Surkov. A couple times before. Hang on. Let's go and see the preceding guys. If he's one of these. Primakov? Nope. These guys, I think, are higher up. No, these are too high up. Yeah, Viktor Chernomyrdin, that's too high up. Oh, I'm not going to find this. Kiselyev, it's Kiselyev. That's exactly who it is. Dmitry Kiselyev. That's him. That's my girl. I mean, come on. No, but I mean, you have to see this guy in action. My Russian isn't nearly good enough. It was this broadcast, actually. It was on this TV show that he did it. He used to have a TV show. And he was talking about gay people allowing to be in transplants of organs or something. And he was talking about gay people in an auto accident, and he's trying to show how straight he is. And if I saw gay people in an auto accident, I wouldn't take their organs for transplant. I would take their heart and I would set it on fire. And I have to pull this one up. Literally, hearing him say it in Russian, you won't understand any of the words. There were about 15 seconds of him saying this in Russian, and you could hear the 6-inch heels stamping on the ground. I mean, literally in your ears as he's saying this, and I would stamp the heart. You're listening to this going, dude, you do not understand how straight men talk. Kiselyev, let me see, where is his gay heart I'm going to see, because that was the discussion. Here we go. 2013. A Russian TV host says gay people should be barred from donating blood and sperm as and their hearts burned rather than used for organ donations. I think that to fine gays for the propaganda of homosexuality among teenagers is not enough. They should be prohibited from donating blood, sperm, and their hearts, in the case of a car accident, should be buried or burned as unfit for extending anyone's life. The thing is, you've got to hear the video of this. I have got to find if anybody can find the video, you have got to find, wait, maybe this is it. Because and again, YouTube doesn't like it when they hear other videos, but see if I can find this. Hold on. Come on, you. The problem is a lot of the Western sites don't feel the need to put the video because they're translating it anyway. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Let me see. Actually, I'm going to look at video. I want to pull this up because you literally have to hear, the guy's voice as he's saying it. Oh, come on. Gay organ donation. Maybe that's it. We're at the end of the show anyway, so I don't mind taking a little bit of a time to find this because it makes me laugh. Images, not images, videos. Oh, I don't think I'm going to find this. RT International. That's the crazy Russian. Oh, they're not going to show the video. Oh, they're just showing the, damn. Anyway, if you can find the video, it is one of the funniest damn things you've ever heard. It's so, it's one of the funniest damn things you've ever heard. I'm not going to find this. Yeah, Kislev, gay organ donation. Nope, not going to find it. The problem is like everything else now is popping up and not him. All right, well, I wrote about it at the time of my blog, but we all had like a good, it was disgusting. Thanks, Yada. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, nope, not going to find it now. All right, well, too bad. It's a wonderful video. Also, he spells his name a couple different ways is part of the problem here, because we're dealing with transliteration, you know what I mean, from Russian, and it's like how to spell it the right way is not entirely clear. Kislev. Oh, here we go. The Vatican. The Advocate's got it. Hold on. Okay, a 1-minute ad? Are you insane? Oh no, here it is. TikTok's not going to like this, but I don't care.
Я считаю, что штрафовать геев за пропаганду гомосексуализма среди подростков мало. Им нужно запретить донорство крови, спермы, а их сердца в случае автомобильной катастрофы зарывать в землю или сжигать как непригодные для продолжения чьей-либо жизни.
Now, I have to pull up. Wait, the first part was the best part. The first part when he says Mala. Hold on. I hate when TikTok does, when YouTube does this, because they literally went to the next video, and I'm like, I don't want you to go to the next video. All right. So, hold on. Watch his face when he says Mala. You had to see. He goes, Mala. Mala. I had to pull that one up. Like I said, I know YouTube's not going to like it because they're going to recognize the snippet and go, oh, there's a portion of the video we can't have. I mean, Mala. That's why I'm saying this guy was a senior Russian leader. He was the head of propaganda, one of the top heads of propaganda. My God. Mala. He literally sashayed when he said it. Mala. God. Oh my God. Anyway. Oh my God. They won't be able to, Fat Assassin, to use US F-16s to attack inside Russia. I'm not convinced the Russians could do anything about it other than go after the planes, but Yeah, I've seen the Russians have lied for about 2 years now, claiming, the Brits are eating rats and the Brits are eating squirrels. And what else were they saying? Yeah, they just lie. I mean, they just lie about stuff. It's really kind of amazing, Pelosi was correct. Flotilla brought up something that's a bit of a troll talking point. Also using troll, no offense if you're a real person, but you're using troll language to describe it. That's totally wrong what you just said. Nancy Pelosi, who's the former Democratic Speaker of the House, the former top Democrat, attacked this really awful fringe lunatic pro-China group called Code Pink. Years ago, people used to like Code Pink because they would stand up to Putin and this kind of stuff. Not Putin, stand up to like Bush on Iraq. But they're crazy people. And they've got really creepy ties to the Chinese communists. And they've been protesting outside Nancy Pelosi, wonderful Democratic politician's house for like 17 years now, outside her home, 17 years. And she told them, she said, you know what? Why don't you all go back to China where your headquarters is? Because there's been articles about their ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Code Pink, creepy as shit who these guys are. They're defending Putin in Ukraine. Creepy as, I said the word shit, so try not to swear here. Really creepy. But they're the far left extremist fringe is trying to twist this to hurt Pelosi. And frankly, using the talking point you just put out there, which is fake. Nancy Pelosi told Asian Americans to go back to China. No, she told white people who are literally in cahoots with the Communist Party of China, literally, to go back to the people pulling their strings in China. Like a radical fringe, extreme left group. Literally, go back to China, and she had said where your headquarters is of your organization. But unfortunately, the extremists, and mind you, Nancy Pelosi is the congresswoman representing San Francisco. San Francisco is as liberal as its reputation says it is. I mean, the conservatives like to talk about San Francisco. Oh, San Francisco, it's all gay and liberal. It is. I mean, it really is. It is. Its politics are so freaking liberal, it's not even funny. Nancy Pelosi has been their congresswoman for decades. She is as liberal as they come. But the far left doesn't like her. Why? Who the hell knows? Because these people are fringe lunatics. Code Pink, fringe lunatics. So yeah, they got upset that Pelosi, and like I said, there have been articles about this, their connections to the Chinese Communist Party. And she said, why don't you go back to China where you're... And literally, the far left, they've got these Chinese Americans or whatever of the far left. How dare you tell people to go back to China because they're Chinese Americans? It's like... Oh, bravo on the lie. So yeah, that's what I think about it. Brilliant. And she's right. Code Pink, they're literally defending Putin. I mean, where's the Code Pink? I'm trying to find this. Code Pink in Ukraine. They're horrific, these people. I mean, they're also like, unfortunately, they're a crazy group. I mean, they really are like a crazy group, sadly. They're not even, I don't know if they're far left. They're extremist. The problem is, and again, I'm a little careful with my words, they're extremist crazy left. They're crazy. They're not crazy because they're extremist. They're crazy people. I mean, it's this fringe group of not that many people, but you don't need that many. Yeah, I mean, peace in Ukraine. Stop the war in Ukraine. Yeah, I love this. Where's their little, yeah, well, of course, and again, it's all Russian talking points. The war in Ukraine is a disaster for the people of Ukraine. Because Code Pink cares more about Ukrainians than Ukrainians. This is a Russian talking point that the far right, the MAGA right, talks about. Why are you insisting on continuing to help Ukraine? You're just getting them killed. Because Russia is literally trying to wipe them off the map, and the Ukrainians themselves would rather not die and lose their country and have their children be kidnapped by Russian troops and raised as Russians, which they've done. And Putin has been indicted by the International Criminal Court on war crimes, on doing that very thing. So the Ukrainians, crazy that they are, said, you know what? We don't want our country wiped off the map. We don't want our people all killed. We don't want our culture eliminated. and our children raised as Russians, stolen and raised as Russians. So yes, we'd like to fight back. But Code Pink thinks they know better than Ukrainians. How dare those Ukrainians try to fight back? And but it's not just Code Pink. This is the far right. This is the MAGA arguing point. They literally say, like, Elon Musk does this. All you're doing is getting Ukrainians killed. Again, as if the Ukrainians are a bunch of crazy people who go, I'm Ukrainian and I never thought about that. I'm just getting killed in this war. Maybe we should just give in and let the Russians have what they want. Give me oh my God, But listen to this. Second line. Of course, nuclear war, of course. Second line. We oppose the Russia invasion. Those are the only 5 words you're going to hear about that. While recognizing that the expansion of NATO and the aggressive approach of Western nations have helped cause the crisis, and we demand an end to NATO expansionism. We also oppose sanctions that will harm ordinary Russians and call on all countries to welcome refugees fleeing the war. So, 5 words criticizing Russia. They don't want any sanctions against Russia, and it's all NATO's fault. The whole thing is NATO's fault and Western countries' fault. Who do you think is feeding them their propaganda? Okay? Yeah. That's what I think of Code Pink. Nasty, crazy, horrible, but again, crazy people. As you can see, I'm not a big fan of extremists or crazy people on either political side, the right or the left. I don't know, Yada. I don't know what happened, Yada. Usually, the mods call it spam if somebody writes the same quote, the same the same comment over and over again, because some people do that all the time and it gets annoying. I don't know if that's what happened, but that's what that usually means if the moderator said spam. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of crazy on either side. Yeah. So I didn't see what anybody said. Yeah. So. Anyway, all right. It's Thursday. That's right. So Saturday morning is our hangout. So remember, it's true. I mean, we've got Finland in NATO. We're still waiting for Sweden. The Hungarians are still playing games, and the Speaker of the Hungarian Parliament, remember, said he's in no hurry because Vladimir Putin won't like it if Sweden joins NATO. Hungary could call a special session right now of their parliament. They're not. Yes, Jacob, we talked about it earlier. Wonderful video. I've got to actually, hold on. I'm going to see if I can find it because I know I retweeted it. And if I can grab the video and put it on Discord of the Russians, of the Russian ship being sunk. Let me find this. Hold on. I may not have retweeted it. Let me see if I did. I hope I retweeted it. Let's see. I mean, it was all over like defense Twitter. So I'm hoping I still have it. No, I didn't. I don't think I did. Shoot. Let me look at my defense Twitter really quick and see if I can find it. Oh, where is this? Hang on. Ukraine. I can probably find it in Ukraine. Somebody must have. The problem with some of this stuff is like, here it is. It gets shared and then here it is. Oh, it's from the Ukraine. Oh, I can show this. This is from the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. I can probably, no, I can't show this. I don't want to show a boat getting blown up. No. Other people may show it, but guess what? This is the kind of thing. YouTube can be weird too. TikTok gets especially weird with taking things down. So I'm not going to, and taking your account down. So I'm putting this on Discord in our Ukraine section, which it might already be there. And here we go. Ukraine using boat drone to take down Russian ship. Here we go. I'm going to upload it. And now, hello. Oh, where is it? Come on, you. I've got to see if I may have, Oh, hang on. I didn't, there's like a long process for grabbing YouTube videos. It's not easy. I mean, TikTok videos. I can't speak English. Twitter videos. That's the word I'm looking for. All right, Discordians. There we go. Okay, it's uploading now. It should be up in a second. It'll be in the Ukraine section of our Discord community. It's up now. Discord.aravosis.com. Look for the Ukraine section, and you will find it. And it's a very good video. It's from the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. Shows the first drone hitting the Russian ship, the second drone hitting the exact same hole in the side of the ship. I mean, brilliant. Literally, it's like going in the hole. And the third picture, I don't know if they show the third explosion, but the final piece of video, it's a 2-minute video. The final seconds of the video show the Russian ship with, what did you say, the bow? Like the front of the ship in the air like the Titanic, and the rest of the ship underwater because it's sinking. But literally like the Titanic, where it's sinking, and then finally it fills so much that it goes down like this. Oh, spectacular video. Absolutely spectacular. Listing. It's not even is that you wouldn't call it listing at that point, would you, Mark? When literally the ship has now done this. It's pointing straight in the air and going down. Is that listing? I think of listing as being like, instead of going this, you're listing towards one side, right? Monthly subscription on TikTok is, I think, $5.99 a month, dollars. On Discord and everywhere else, it's like $7.99 because TikTok, I couldn't set the price. Now I can, but I felt bad upping the price on people, so I haven't upped it on TikTok. Even though TikTok, I get less of the money, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't like raising. Maybe I'll raise it finally $1 or something, because it's still cheaper than the other two services, than YouTube or the other 3 or 4 services. It's called syncing. Exactly. No, that's exactly it. I mean, it's listing is this. This is syncing. That's what I mean. The Titanic was insane. Oh, that was thinking by Stern. Okay, I was going to say, because the Titanic, it was the front of the ship that went down first. At least the movie claims that, right? The movie claims it was the back of the ship that went down. This I can't tell. This looks like the front, but I can't totally tell. 180% listing or delisting perhaps. Anyway, it's a really cool video. I mean, it's war, but it's a very cool video. But like I said, you can see it. Yep, it's there. It's live from Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. Go look at our discord.aravosis.com and you'll look for the Ukraine section, and we've got it there. Yeah, they were just diving. It was intentional. The boat is hiding. Like you said, it's our new secret submarine. It is oh, I didn't see Craig. You guessed it right. You and Jillian did guess it right. Dmitry Kiselyov. Sorry, I didn't see it over on YouTube when you guys said it. Sorry about that. Terry was asking about Lindsey Graham. Of course. No one has the goods on it. Well, I shouldn't say no. I shouldn't say no one. None of us have the goods on him. Of course. So there you go. All right. My cat can eat a whole watermelon. Okay. Not sure what that has to do with a Russian ship going down, but okie dokie. All right, guys, I'm going to go. Oh my God, we're almost 2 hours into this. We had a lot of fun in the second hour. This is 1 hour and 50 minutes. Guys, we've been doing this for 1 hour and 50 minutes. All right. Thank you, Mustard. I was just going to say, I'll do a last minute pitch for the gifts. We can wait for another minute or two. If you like the show and you like my work, please do some gifts. Because like I said, quite literally helps to pay the bills. Otherwise, do check out our Discord community. We've got the piece of a Russian plane shot down, Su-34 shot down over Kharkiv for auction. We've got the, oops, where did I put you down? Where did I put you down? Now I have to find the challenge coin. Here it is. We've got our fabulous challenge coin that's being auctioned too. Right. Speaking of ships, oops. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Becky and Mark. It's the Russian warship Go F Yourself challenge coin from Ukraine. Very cool. It shows a Ukrainian soldier flipping off the Russian ship. Oh, there you go. Oops. That's in sharp. That's sharp enough. That's good. It does adjust the sharpness. Thank you, Jackie. So lots of cool stuff. Check it out. As I said, I auction the stuff off because it helps support my work. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but literally I've been doing this full time, and the only way to do it is, I'm not rich and no one's paying. I wish there was someone who paid for this stuff, but nobody. There are never big donors. On the Republican side, there are. Every other side, there's nobody who actually steps in and goes, thank you, Lori. Nobody who steps in and goes, oh, you do good work. We will fund you for a year. Please. Thank you for the hedgehog, Hedge. Oh, that's right, Hedge. I always forget you. Hedge with the hedgehog. Anyway, so thank you guys. Thank you, adventurers. All right, well, that was almost 2 hours. All right, guys, I'll be back tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, U.S., and then remember, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S., we'll do our show for the paid monthly subscribers on TikTok and YouTube and Twitch and Ko-fi and everybody else. You can find the other, you can always find out how to subscribe to at aravosis.com. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, adventurers. At aravosis.com. You can also find my PayPal, my Venmo if you just want to support, or my, what's it called? The one I had to, it still exists, but we aren't allowed to connect it to Discord. Patreon, because Patreon gets creeped out by the Ukrainian war, so they don't want to fund people who are actually helping. Thank you, adventurers. So I'm allowed to have Patreon as generally supporting me, but I can't link you to my Discord with your Patreon donation because Patreon's evil. So, because they're one of those that's so far, they're San Francisco. Again, San Francisco. Thank you, Trilytic. They're so far left that they're anti-Ukraine, basically. Lovely, lovely company. But any case, but yes, you can find all the donation stuff there, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Liev. All right. That's right. Bjorn's daughter. I will always remember you with that name, the last name. That's funny. Thank you for the roses. All right, guys. Have a good night. I'm going to go. I'm going to go play. I'm going to give the dog, brush the dog's teeth and give her treat, and then go play. This is funny. You guys can see. She's behind me on the carpet waiting. She's in her little, now I might even be able to, I think, I can. You can see too. Yep. There she is. See, she's sitting here. She's like in the prime position, waiting for me to, not really sleeping, just waiting for me to get up because she knows her teeth get brushed, which she hates, but then she gets a treat at the end, which she loves. So, all right, guys, you have a very good night. Thank you all, as always. Thanks, mods, again, always. And see you guys tomorrow. All right. All right. See you guys. Thank you again. Oops. It always takes me a second to figure out how to even sign off. All right. End broadcast.